Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Help Talk, and you're going to see that I am solo today. Phil's out for the day, but rest assured he will be back. And we have a very special guest, as we do every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have Dr. Roz, Elizabeth Rosner, and she has done a number of things from following and getting certified in Martin Luther King's legacy efforts in and around nonviolence programming. She also put herself through college with less than $1,000 in loans. Like, who does that? Earned her Ph.D., spreads love, and wears like the best branding outfits I have ever seen. So, Dr. Roz, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. LL, and to your community. I am delighted to be with you. So excited that Phil connected us and sending lots of love to Phil, and delighted to have this time. Thanks.
It's just, well, before we get into the whole thing, so today's talk, for those of you that saw or missed the title, it's 7 tips to get a debt-free college degree. And Dr. Roz has a program that she's established called the G.R.I.T program. We're going to get into that in just a bit. But first, maybe let's talk a little bit. Well, even before we get into education, I am a big fan of all things branding. And you'll notice Dr. Roz over here, she's got her love format because everything is about spreading love and kindness, and Lord knows, right? We all need a little more of that in this bump and tumble world. But she's also on point with brand. She's got her Dr. Roz in here. She's got her debt-free degree, little college hat, and even matching on the thing. How did you get the inspiration? Oh, and even the ring. I mean, go figure. So how did you get the inspiration to move forward in this way and get clothes made and jewelry custom made and all this stuff? What did you do?
So, one of the certified trainers with me is Sierra Flybobo, and her design company is called June Marie Brand. And so I've known Fly since 2018, and she designs for a lot of amazing people. And she said, if you're ever interested, then we can custom design what it is that you're looking for. And so to be able to have just an opportunity to say, I want some branded jackets that are either Love Revolution or Leading with Love or the graduation caps or whatever. And she said, yeah, we can do all of that. And she puts my name on it. So she actually came to my house and did all the measurements, and then we decide exactly what she wants to do, and then she brings it back to me and we try it on. I mean the most amazing in terms of service, and she is outstanding. And so it was her that planted the seed about things being custom. And so, and it's affordable in the fact that I wear them all the time. And so my uniform is a black top, black pants, and one of my jackets, and a big chunky necklace, and a big chunky ring, and I have 2 glasses. And it's just very easy. It's almost like capsule wardrobe kind of thing. Then I had another friend that I met through a networking organization, and she is a jewelry designer. And her name is Green Eyed Taj, Taj, on Instagram. That's how you can connect with her. And she had some really beautiful pieces. And so I actually said to her, I have a ring that I bought in Israel that the band had gotten all yucky. And I said, I really want to wear this ring. And she said, I'm afraid that I'm going to break it if I do something to it. And I was like, you know what? If you break it, I'm not going to, oh, thank you for putting that in there. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to wear it anyway. So if you break it, it's fine. And so I was able to design the band that has little heart cutouts in the actual band of the ring. So then I said, I want a heart ring. And then I designed this to match my jacket. So I actually wear this a lot, even if I'm not necessarily talking about debt-free degree. I will wear this because people ask and they'll say, what is this? And, in addition to Leading with Love, I also talk about debt-free degree. So, and there's a little heart on here. I don't know if you can see it.
It's a little hard to see with the glare, but it's like you just got so much bling, Dr. Roz, that we're just like, we're being blinded by it all. Now, that said, okay, now we have to get into the serious topic, but it's always so fun. I love people that just make that little effort, for their personal style, and especially when they bring their brand in. Says the gal who last week I was in New York City at the G.R.I.T Center and I launched my Glow Up package, which is about how a digital marketing package designed for early stage startups and small businesses. Just, all of the key bits you need. You don't need to boil the ocean, but here's the key bits you need.
Right.
And I wore my neon outfit and I was glowing and people were like, I get it. I'm like, yeah, I'm glowing. See, it's a Glow Up package. Yeah. It just helps reinforce the brand. Anyway, education. Let's flip gears and get into the meat and potatoes of this help talk. So we all know that there's a lot going on in education, everything from the pressure that teachers are facing in elementary school and high school. Students are becoming violent. Students are difficult to maintain. Teachers have no ability to stop the use of cell phones. Teachers feel compelled to just keep passing the students on ahead in the grades, even though they're at the grade 2 or 3 or 4 reading and math levels. Let's talk about some of those problems in education. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing at the college level. So what are you seeing and hearing with respect to your clients? Because you support a lot of folks who are trying to figure out that next step.
Yes. I do not know one teacher, and well, let me say it this way. My grandmother was a teacher. My mom was a teacher. I have known probably since the age of 4 that I was going to be an educator. I love educators. I love teachers. And I have a vast network of folks that are in this arena. And I do not know one of them who is like, la-di-da, everything's great. There's no problems. There's no stress. I'm in a groove and I feel good about what I'm doing and everything's great. Every single one of them is really, really, really stressed, as you mentioned, all the different factors. Another one that I hear a lot in addition to everything that you said is a disconnect between this, we're going to talk about a triangle approach, but I'm going to say it here too. A disconnect in the triangle between student, family, and educators. Because there can be some misalignment when in actuality, if the 3 groups would lock arms in collaboration, it would be an amazing, powerful moment. Instead, they're having some power struggles. And so that's also difficult, that teachers are fighting really students and the families.
Well, and this is just it. We see a lot of it, part of I guess your brands and what you do is this all about love and bringing more love into the world and bringing that awareness. And you're definitely seeing that missing. When you talk about this triangle, students are pointing to their parents and saying, well, you're not helping me. Parents are pointing to the educators and saying, you're supposed to teach my kid. Kids feel like I don't have to learn, right?
Exactly.
So you've got all this nonsense going on. Now it's being carried into the college level, coupled with all of the uncertainty economically, the chaos, a lot of this stuff. They're expecting this year, this coming fall, that most colleges and universities will hit that 25% under enrollment rate. It's been slipping since the pandemic. What that rate means, they're calling it the enrollment cliff for folks that don't know, is every year there's a certain number of college students, typically around 22 million that are college eligible. But every year since the pandemic, a smaller and smaller portion of those college eligible students are going to college. Mm-hmm. This year, they're expecting it'll be less than 25% down. So only about 73 to 75% of eligibles will be going to college. And this is why I think your talk's going to be so important today, because it's the expense, right? Talk to us about what you're seeing.
I have a series on my YouTube channel entitled, Dang, I Wish I Knew You When I Went to College. And it is literally because that is most often the comment I hear. If somebody says, what do you do? Especially if I talk about debt-free degree, that's what they say. I literally just spoke with someone last week that her words were, we have decimated our retirement account. And our son chose literally the most expensive school in the nation to attend. And those two things don't have to be, those things don't have to happen, and so understanding that people believe in the dichotomy of I either go to college with student loan debt or I don't go. And debt-free degree is all about no. There's this whole third path that is full of freedom, that is full of exploration, that is full of excitement, if you will dig in. And it is getting people, and you know, Dr. LL, I don't know that you hear this a good bit, but I know in my circles, I am more and more and more seeing people that information comes in, it doesn't meet every single thing that they already have in their brain. And so it's immediately rejected instead of, wait a minute, that doesn't fit. And so if that doesn't fit, how can I make it fit? Or what would it look like to fit? Or how could I tweak a few things to let it fit in? And so, you know, giving people the opportunity just to say, there's this third path if you're willing to consider it. But I'm finding it is really getting my message out there has been more difficult than I anticipated.
But it is, and that's a whole separate conversation in and around marketing. I mean, there's ad blockers, there's vendor blockers. So if you're scrolling Instagram, you get blocked if you've got a vendor and business account and you're posting things. It's just, it has become very difficult. Even YouTube, the bar keeps going up. You need 1,200 subscribers. You need 4,000 watch hours. We get a lot of people who watch our shorts. They don't make it through the full 35, 40 minutes of an episode. And you got to get a lot of views a minute at a time to hit 4,000 hours, right?
Yeah.
So it is getting tougher. And that's why I think it's really exciting that we're very happy that you're here, because college should be a choice that's available, and not only available to the richest folks. I've seen it. I've seen tuitions ranging from $57,000, considered a good deal in state for a college degree, to $92,000. And it's just, for out of state, I mean, it's lunacy. So let's get into it. Give us your first tip, please, on how to start working towards that debt-free degree. And let us know if this is part of your GRIT program. Dr. Roz has built a few stepwise methods and methodologies to get into it, to help you build the resilience you need, build everything you need so that you can get to college and get it done. All right. Tip number one, please.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if you all decided the number 7 because it's the number of perfection, or it just sounded good, or it was like top 5 just sounded like there wasn't quite enough information. But when I was preparing for this show, I thought, well, there's the GRIT blueprint, so G.R.I.T, that's 4 of them. And then the T is actually broken into 3 parts. So they're the other 3. So here we go.
See, it's lucky connection. It's the bling factor. We were meant to connect. It's Dr. LL, Dr. Roz, loving bling. It's destiny. Phil not being here today. It just all worked out.
Yes. And wait till we get to the I, because even the I has something to do with that. So that's amazing. So I'll start with the G, and the G is grants and scholarships. There is 46 billion with a B, $46 billion in grants and scholarships out there. And so when folks say, well, I'm a C student, so there's nothing for me. Oh, yes. Even David Letterman very famously did a scholarship for mediocre C students. Or, you know, I am a certain ethnicity, or I am a certain, you know, my parents make too much money, so there's nothing for me. There's absolutely something out there for you in terms of grants and scholarships. And so looking at the ways that you can do that, there are a lot of different opportunities out there for folks who want to dig into this. Several different organizations that I recommend. One is Dr. Gabrielle McCormick of Scholarship Informer. And she has a great Instagram presence. In fact, I just got a text this morning that said, hey, thank you so much for the scholarships you sent me on Instagram. I will, I've applied for 2 of them, and I'll let you know how it goes. And so it's just super easy for me. If I see one and, you know, and I'm connected to students on Instagram, then I can DM them that. And Dr. Gabrielle, her story is that she had an athletic scholarship and got hurt. And so, of course, lost that scholarship. And she thought, well, what am I going to do? And so she dug in and found scholarships. And this was for her undergrad. And she has now done her master's and PhD, all fully scholarshiped. So if anybody knows scholarships, it's Dr. Gabrielle. And again, Scholarship Informer. That's one. The other is the amazing Monica Matthews. And she has a Facebook group. I think it's called How to Win Scholarships for Parents or something like that. Her website is how2winscholarships.com. She has two different guides, one for students and one for parents. And so you can download those guides, and she updates them periodically. And her story is she has three sons, and all three of them went to college fully scholarship. And so within this Facebook group, I think there's 40,000, 50,000 parents in there that are always talking about, oh, I got this scholarship using Monica's method, or I got this scholarship. So those are the two that I really recommend for scholarships, because of course I approach everything from a debt-free degree perspective, and I can't be all things to all people. And keeping up with scholarships is literally a full-time job. So ask Monica, ask Dr. Gabrielle. They're the experts of that.
All right. Well, one of the things I really appreciate already, Dr. Roz, is that you are shining the light on other folks. And so many people get nudgy and like, ooh, it's competitive. We're in the same space. When you're in the same swim lane, everybody does things slightly differently, and prospective clients are going to connect better with one person than another person or vendor. And it's all fair game, because if we're all amplifying each other, somebody's out there that's going to like you better than they're going to like or need Monica or Dr. Gabrielle. So it's great. Thank you for that. All right.
Welcome. You're
Tip
welcome.
2.
Tip
See,
2
it's an R.
It is ROI, return on investment. So, for example, I was telling you all that I know a lot of educators. And so I was talking to a mom, and she said, I'm really excited that my son's going to be working with you, because I have over $200,000 in student loan debt. And I knew she was a teacher. And I said, is this all for your current profession? And she said, yes. And it goes back to, as educators, oftentimes they're told, if you get a new certificate, your pay goes up. If you get a new degree, your pay goes up. And so she was constantly doing that. It was in loans that were unsubsidized. So the interest payments are accruing every single month. And because she was in front of her son, then I didn't have quite as pointed as of a conversation as I would have if it had been just she and I. If it had been just she and I would have said, did you ever consider the ROI? Now, to me, it seems as if perhaps she did not, because, if you have accrued that much, how on a teacher's salary could you ever pay that much money back? And so her thing is, I don't want him to do the same thing that I have done. The other thing is, Dr. LL, is, quite honestly, I anticipated that educators were going to be my very best referral source. I just thought educators who oftentimes are carrying a lot of student loan debt will hear this and think, I want to save someone else from my pain and misery. And that is almost 95% never the case.
Which is surprising too, because you have a history as an educator for a couple of decades.
Yes. Almost 4. Yes.
Shh, no, us girls, a couple of decades.
Right. Exactly. And so, it's again, like what you said about, shining the light on other people. It is, for me, if I know that I'm struggling with something and I have found something that not only alleviates my struggle, or had I known about it, it would have alleviated my struggle, I'm delighted to share it with somebody else to pave the way. But there is kind of this mentality of, well, I had to do it, and so you're going to have to too. And, that's just not, it's not necessarily loving. It's not necessarily community building. And it's unfortunate. Now, obviously, I'm not totally saying, parents or teachers should be the only people magnifying, this particular message. But again, like when I was talking about how I'm having difficulty breaking through sometimes, some of those methods that you're talking about, yes, I understand. But I mean, even if like, for example, I did a webinar, and it was a live webinar, and I invited some folks. I invited someone that I have known literally almost all my life. I think I met her in like kindergarten. She listened to the entire debt-free degree webinar, and she had 2 questions at the end. One of them had to do with how to get the best rate for her child to get loans. And I said, and in my mind, I'm thinking, have you not listened to the last 20 minutes? I was like, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know anything about student loans as far as that goes. And then the second follow-up question was, okay, how can I situate the amount of money that I'm making so that it's more conducive that he'll get better loans or more money? Again, I don't have an answer to that question. And this was after knowing me. Again, we're not besties. I mean, we've been, we've just known each other. It's an acquaintance. But still, there is some familiarity there. And she sat there and listened. Presumably, she was part of the webinar for 20 minutes. And then those were her 2 questions. So this is how far we have to go to look at ROI.
And it's also another thing, which I think is one of my soapboxes here that we'll cover in another time. Maybe not you and I, or maybe you and I, right, over a virtual beverage in Atlanta. We can do that too.
Yes.
But one of the things that I hear you talk about when you said, oh, it can be difficult, you thought the referrals would be coming from teachers. Teachers and nurses are kind of ruthless when it comes to referrals and things. Mm-hmm. Nurses are known to eat their own. And it's all, I think, largely because it's mostly women-based. Women don't help women enough. And this is one of the reasons why I do the podcast, even my small biz stories. It's shocking. And there were some videos recently, Brooke Berkeley and a few others that have said, wow, women are the worst critics. They're ripping each other apart. Mm-hmm. And back to your whole love thing and what we're doing. Hey, if you can give a referral to somebody, it does come back to you. It may not come from them, but it's like a karma coin. You put it in the bank. Yes. And when you need that withdrawal, oh, look, I put some coins in and you got stuff to withdraw. But if you don't put anything in the bank, nothing's coming out.
Yeah. And that could be part of it. I love people. I mean, my overarching mission at Love Revolution is 8 billion people loving 8 billion people, one heart at a time. And so I've got tons of women in my life that are super supportive and loving. And so, yeah, I don't know, but that could be part of it. It could be, they're just overwhelmed. I mean, there's a myriad reasons. And so, yeah. And that whole love piece, I mean, it really is about love yourself enough to say no to student loans and yes to financial freedom.
And yes to others. Let people know about this. This isn't, on Helppedia, we don't talk about scams. It's all about youth development and supporting the parents and caregivers of the youth so that everybody gets to improve, right? Because there's a lot of tough stuff out there. We get it. Yeah. All right, moving along. So we've got the blueprint. I equals tip 3.
Interconnected. That is the I in all of my coaching. Every single time that I use the GR.I.T blueprint, it's always interconnected. And it's because if we understand, again, it goes back to linking arms. It goes back to what Dr. LL said about, magnifying somebody else. I was raised, and many of us are raised in an environment that says you must be independent, you must do it on your own, you must figure out how to do it, without needing a whole bunch of people, and you've got everything that you need to be able to do this, and blah, 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 blah. And, it wasn't until I encountered the philosophy and methodology of Nonviolence365, Dr. King's philosophy, where I really understood, where I really even heard of the concept of interconnectedness. When it was then like, so I don't have to be responsible for everything because I can rely on this network and this fabric of people. And so if you can, particularly in a debt-free degree, work smarter, not harder, what does that look like? And so if you want to wait until your senior year, so last year about this time, I had a lovely family that reached out and they said, our son plays a sport and he wants to play the sport in college. And so he has found a college that has given him, in my opinion, a minuscule scholarship, partial scholarship. And so it was, like I said, it was about this time they needed to pay their bill by July 1, and they were looking for $38,000. And they were saying for the first year. And they were, basically kind of asking for, like, did I have a code that they could plug into some website for 38 grand? And, it's a little bit like saying, oh, I've got my high school reunion next Friday. Hey, Weight Watchers, I want to lose 38 pounds by Friday. What can I do? And, is it even going to come off? And if it does, is it sustainable, versus if they had started in middle school, that's really ideally where I love to start with people because we can change mindsets. Even freshman years, but like I can guarantee If you start in middle school working this program and working toward a debt-free degree, there is zero reason you will ever take a student loan. And understanding that it's that working smarter, not harder. So, for example, I've got a friend who is a chorus teacher in high school, and he offers a scholarship if you've been in his program all 8 semesters of high school. Well, if you don't know about it in middle school, then, how are you going to be in that? And so if you're already thinking about how do I access these scholarships, how do I look at other things, and really understanding, it's also the interconnected piece too, is understanding that it's important to colleges, most of them, that I don't know if I'm going to kind of blunder the way I'm saying it, but it's like you don't do things in order to get accepted to college. You do things because they're the right thing for you. And then when you talk about the things that are right for you to a college, if it is a right fit, then that's a great place. Whereas I think a lot of students are doing things so it looks good on a resume so they can get accepted, but it's not genuinely who they are.
No, you're so right about this. And then they just go to ChatGPT or your favorite Gen AI program, plug it in, give me an essay, and then I can just stick it in and send it everywhere and all this kind of stuff. And that's not coming through either, because now there's tools to detect the AI written stuff, and they're pretty good. Like Grammarly's is over 93, I think, % accurate. So kind of tough to cheat Grammarly, right? They're a huge company and they're wonderful stuff. You've also got the lack of authenticity coming through. It's like, oh yeah, I love to do this. Sheared sheep, on a farm all the time because it'll sound good on my college application because not many people shear sheep. Well, okay, but really, I mean, how is it going to fit into everything in the bigger picture? It gets tough to explain.
However, if you shear sheep because you shear sheep and you love to shear sheep,
I'm seeing like seashells, whatever. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Exactly. Then let me tell you, promote that, because someone that's gonna, look down upon you for shearing sheep, that might not be a great fit for you either, but if it's something sincere, then let's do it. It's interesting you brought up AI because I have a debt-free degree club curriculum. I have a one lesson a month for 12 months, or I have 52 weeks of curriculum. So either way, folks can buy it. It's all asynchronous. And so one of them, several times in there, I will mention go to AI and put this in, and this is as young as middle school. And I had an advisor who said, hey, you're asking them to use AI, that feels a little, and I said, number one, AI is here to stay.
Oh, yeah.
And so how are we going to use it effectively? And number two, this particular lesson was about put this particular prompt in AI, and it's asking for what can be my daily mantra that I can say in order to keep myself on track to earn a debt-free degree. And so I even said to them in the teaching video, I said, the reason I'm asking you to go to AI is because I want AI to know that debt-free degree is a thing. So the more people I get to go to ChatGPT or whatever talking about debt-free degree, the more often somebody says, well, how can I pay for college? And maybe debt-free degree is one of the options, maybe the book or whatever it is. And so, it's a bit intentional on my part, but AI is here to stay.
Right. Well, everything has to be intentional. I mean, the whole thing that you're talking about, the GRIT blueprint and how you get it so that you can have a debt-free college degree, everything has to be planful. When you try to just show up at the last minute and pull it together, it doesn't work. You need a plan.
Yeah.
And some concepts just take a longer planning period, right?
Yes.
It's more difficult to execute all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Moving along here. Tip 4, the T stands for?
T stands for triangle. And so if you think about the power of 3, so Dr. LL and I are not twins. We were not born in the same household. We have not known each other since birth. We met through our dear friend, Phil. And so that's the power of 3. And so had I reached out, like if I'd stumbled upon your YouTube and I reached out and I was like, hey, random, can I come talk about debt-free degree? It's just me and her. It's just 2. But once Phil said, oh my gosh, Dr. LL is so amazing. We do this amazing thing. We do it every single Monday. If you'd be willing to come, we'd love to highlight you, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, it's that power of three. It's that triangle approach. It's that stability. And so it even goes back to that triangle I was talking about between educators and families and students. If we can learn to, again, link arms and understand that we're all in this together versus we're all fighting one another. And how much energy is that taking to fight, blah, 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 blah. It's just, it's too much. And so it's the power of three. And so like even today, I was on a call with someone who I met through the King Center. I was on several trainings that she had taken at the King Center. And she and I, we've been in circles for a while, and then she's been a panelist at the King Center. And so, but we didn't have our one-on-one just to get to know one another until last week. And then she texted and she said, I've got a few extra questions. Do you have some time this week for us just to get together? And I said, absolutely. And so we actually met this morning. So again, it's somebody I've met with one-on-one twice. I've been in and around her, circles, and, she's been around me a little bit for, probably 5 years. And so I get on LinkedIn. Now I don't have any notifications on my phone. So, that's also powerful. And so I go to check LinkedIn and I have 9 notifications, which is a lot. And so I went and looked, she did this whole post about me today on LinkedIn and tagged me in it and talked about, now I can talk all day long on LinkedIn. And so that's one thing. But when I talk to Rebecca and Rebecca talks to her friend Dorinda, and Dorinda says, I'm going to comment underneath, that's the triangle approach. Yeah.
I'm all about it. I talk about the win-win-win. It's a triple win. Everybody's like, it's got to be win-win. I think it has to go beyond that. You need the third segment. See, like I said, you said that we didn't know each other and we're going to, but there's some parallels here. Yeah. But the triple win, you team up with somebody who has complementary skills or services or advice. And when you team up and connect and you both aim to support the recipient, right? Whatever. Yay, I get the pom-poms. Woohoo. That's what it is. And that's when the magic happens.
Yes.
Triangle.
Yes.
Get it. I love it.
Yes. Okay. If you will hold up that triangle one more time, because I'm going to go into tips 5, 6, and 7 and kind of meld those together, if that's okay.
Go ahead. Tip 5, please.
Tip 5, if you're looking at a triangle, is SM.
SM?
SM stands for student money. I'm going to circle back on one of these. Tip 6 is FM.
Found money?
Well, no, that's your friends, your family, your folks, the people you're familiar with. So you can put family money, friends money, familiar money, And then tip 7 is OPM.
Other people's money.
There we go. Some people get it. Some people don't. Yeah. Listen. So, okay. So let's go back to SM. So it takes both you as the student and the FM. So your friends, your family, whoever it is, your parents, whoever it is that's surrounding that college student. And then honestly, all money is OPM. So we'll come back to that. But student money is, what is your responsibility going to be to make this happen? So is it you're going to, look for X amount of scholarships? Is it you're going to make sure that you accrue X amount of this? Is it you've strategized ways to make money and ways to save money? Is it your grades to maintain a certain scholarship? Like all the different things that the student needs to do in order to graduate fully debt free. And then your FM is what is your family doing? And so, for example, I know some families, I was talking to one lady not too long ago, and she was saying that her twins, who are heading to college this fall, her twins have 37 hoodies between them. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Because
there's 7 days in a week.
So the average hoodie's $50, right? Do 37. Oh my God, that's a bit of math, but 37, 40 times, that's 2,000.
Right. What would it have looked like if whoever spent the money on those hoodies said, you know what? You've got 7 days a week. You've got 7 hoodies. That's enough hoodies. So whatever money I would have spent on this hoodie, we're going to put in this savings account associated with your checking account. Like for me, one of the things that we did, Mike and I went to Israel in 2018, and we needed to save a pretty big chunk because we had a student, we had our son was in college, et cetera. And so we didn't want to go into savings or whatever for it. So every single time that I did not buy a book, then I moved that money over. Every single time I did not swing through the drive-through and instead I came home and, ate something out of the pantry, I moved that money over. And, in that amount of time, we had that amount of money. It's incredibly powerful to watch that. You can also do GoFundMe. For FM can be GoFundMe. It can also be, you can say, and I've got a friend that has 2 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And she has basically said to their parents, y'all are not getting one gift from me. There will not be a toy or a book. Not like if we hang out that I'm not going to buy you anything, but like, birthday, Christmas, whatever. You're not getting stuff from me. You're getting money towards your college account. And that's what they've done from day one. And then, and there's some, again, how many hoodies do you need? How many pairs of shoes do you need? How many, and how powerful it is. And of course, the earlier you do that, the more powerful it is to say, I understand that textbooks are expensive. I understand that, that you might not want to eat ramen noodles, 4 meals, for dinner every week. And so, you want to go to your fast food place. And so you'll have a little extraneous money for that. So that's your FM. And then OPM, as I said, every single dollar is OPM. Because honestly, Dr. LL, either you have exchanged your time and talents for somebody to give you money for your coaching or your programs, or you have, gotten a nonprofit or whatever and people have given you money, or you simply are just delightful and people just hand you money, or you've inherited it. But either way, or the lottery. I mean, either way, it's somebody else's money. So once we understand, again, that interconnectedness, that all money is OPM, because I'm not aware of there being $46 billion in grants and scholarships to help me buy a car or to help me buy a home. Yeah. But there's that much money out there. And so I know I gave a lot of information there.
No, but it's great. I mean, this is the whole thing, right? Give us a summary in a couple of sentences or 2 that you're thinking, or 3, that people can grab onto. So if they're thinking about college, what if it's too late? They didn't sign up in middle school. Parents didn't start thinking about it. Students are getting to those later years in high school. What do you recommend they do towards that debt-free degree? Can they make an impact if they start late?
Absolutely, they can make an impact if they start late. So one of the things that's happened is, students, like that student that I mentioned about needing the $38,000, by July 1, then they weren't able to achieve that. Mm-hmm. But we did put some things into place so that this year they're not accepting loans. So I can't do anything about the loans that they took, but the quicker you can get this in your mindset. Here's the thing. Particularly for FM, if those of you are listening to this, or even if it's students, but particularly for FM, we all typically, many of us are bringing children into our home, bringing children into our sphere of influence, and many of us are saying you are going to go to college after high school. Now, I believe that every single student needs some type of training post high school, but I don't believe it has to be a 4-year degree. Absolutely. I do not believe that. So it can be a technical degree. It can be an associate's degree. It can be an apprenticeship. I talked to one family a couple of weeks ago, talk about FM. They're doing, instead of homeschool for high school, they're doing homeschool college. They are basically mentoring and apprenticing their child in their own business, in every facet of the business, so that they can understand everything, and they're foregoing a formal degree. That's what that, and it's like, well, this chunk, you're going to be doing marketing, and this is what we do, and this is what it looks like. And they've really laid out like a whole, 3-year plan, for their, homeschool college. I mean, kudos to them. So there are all these different ways that you can do it, that you do need something post high school. Here's the thing. If you have children in your sphere of influence, I just simply ask you to add the one word, debt free. Yeah, you're going to need something post high school, and you're going to do it debt free. period. And just begin with that mindset, begin with that mantra, begin saying, this is how we can do it. And then when you hear other people say, yeah, I'm so excited about blah, blah school and their cost of attendance is $93,000, but they have given me a screaming deal. They've given me $50,000 a year in scholarships. That's excellent. 50 grand a year in scholarships is excellent. That means you've still got 43 grand.
That's right.
When you hear anybody who is about to say yes to a student loan, send them to my website. So if you, I love that you have like your typing stuff. So thank you. So for information, if people want additional information, all of this is free, is drroz.love/DFD. So
wait, let's get that straight. What? One sec, please.
drroz.love/DFD. And if they go there, they'll get exactly right. If they go there, they get chapter 1 of the book that lays out the GRIT blueprint, very similar to what I just did here, but in more detail. They get a recording of an asynchronous webinar, that 20-minute webinar where I go through all the things, and then a couple of other things. Everything that you need for a debt-free degree is right there, because the most important thing is to get the information out there. So I'm seeing, these I just right now have one established club, and seeing those young people in middle school who are so excited about knowing that they've got a bazillion options and that none of them include having to take a student loan. It's empowering.
And everybody needs that. Like you were saying, like, oh, dang, I wish I knew you before, right? Step kids, I'm the step monster, went through college, they did fantastic. They got terrific scholarships, but there were still hefty bills.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, it's part of the thing. It's like, what do you do? How do you get them? How do you get folks involved earlier? So with that, we are going to wrap. So Dr. Roz, where's the easiest way for folks to get a hold of you?
Honestly, that particular thing, because throughout there, they'll see drroz.love/DFD. They will see links to, if they want to book some time with me, my scheduler calendars on my website. All of my pages on my website end in love, because that's really what it's all about, is 8 billion people loving 8 billion people. And in this particular aspect, it is love yourself enough to say no to student loan debt. Love your friends enough, love your family enough, love your people enough. The minute you graduate without student loan debt, you are cultivating personal and generational wealth. And we are seeing families really struggling financially. And so this is a way to expedite generational wealth, is say no to loans, but that does not mean say no to college, because you can still earn all the education that you need.
With that, Dr. Roz, thank you so much for being on HELPtalk here today. And we learned a lot about debt-free degree. It is possible. It's not a gimmick, and there's ways to be able to get information about it and start taking steps. I guess that one of the key lessons here that you shared is that it's never too late. Earlier is better, right? Like we do with all planning things. I am last minute Laurelin, so I understand the value of planning, but I also understand the value of having that firecracker up your backside to get things done, but not always good, right? Can't always pull it together. So with that, folks, if you want to take a look at drroz.love/DFD, you can find her and more information about debt-free degree. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What you are doing is so amazing. Your channel is just chock full of amazing information. So I'm sure you point people to that YouTube channel all the time, but I thoroughly enjoy going down the rabbit trail and watching and listening. And I love that it's a video podcast as well. So I love that, that I could listen to it if I wanted to, but also to watch and to see the interaction. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Heart right back to you. There we go.